A Boeing 767 declaring emergency after engine fire just shortly after departure from Prague. Emergency could have gone really bad, and it's all captured on film. My name is Max Villman, a former fighter pilot in the Swedish Air Force, and let's go. So this short video we're gonna react to was published on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, months even. And if you want, you can of course follow me on Twitter for more of these kinds of videos. What we're seeing here is a camera that films basically the departure end of runway from Prague International Airport. And Prague International Airport, or PRG in ICAO language, LKPR, is located just outside of Prague. You have two runways here. We have terminal buildings and so on and so forth. Of note here is perhaps the FS, the fire station, located around here, so conveniently located in the center of the airport, of course. So this happened just in the beginning of September, and it was an engine fire. We will take a look at the video. We also have the conversation on the start and landing of this aircraft. So the Delta 79er, Delta aircraft here from Prague going to New York.
Charlie Golf, line up runway 24 and wait.
Runway 24 and wait, late Air France, Charlie Golf.
And that's the Air France, that's the next flight in line. It has just been cleared to line up and wait. So the first aircraft is taking off. The emergency aircraft here was seen a bit from Delta. And now the Air France aircraft is taxiing out and standing up here, lining up on the runway. And this is done so that the Air France comes up in the picture here, can start making checks and then depart as soon as possible with distance to the previous. And of course this is on a busy international airport. This is done to save time. And now we see the aircraft here just taking off. Gears are going in, and we will just soon see the start of the engine fire here in a bit. You see it here, black smoke coming off to the right.
Contact radar, goodbye.
And there the air traffic controller here told the aircraft here that just departed that it's supposed to contact Prague radar. So what happens is you usually have one or two frequencies on ground in the tower from the airport, and then after departure or just before landing you have contact with radar control, the area around the airport, controls air traffic control that controls the area around the airport, and then you have another layer on, usually on top in the higher altitude. So they are pushing this aircraft over to another radio frequency so that they can coordinate their continuous departure towards JFK.
Delta 79er, emergency aircraft, engine fail. We'll call you back. We'd like straight out.
Okay.
And what you hear there is the Delta 79. So they have an emergency. They said emergency aircraft, and that they will get back to air traffic control in just a minute. Right now the pilots are looking at their checklists, their emergency checklists, trying to put this flame out, and also if need be, do they need to immediately turn back and land where they came from? Do they have enough energy and thrust to come around and land the same runway? Do they need to make an emergency landing in a field? All those things are going around in their heads, and they are continuously doing the checklist here, the captain and the co-pilot. And what this has made when they sent out emergency aircraft is that all other landings and takeoffs are being delayed, and they are trying to clear the runway. You will see the Air France aircraft here having to leave the runway, of course, in just a minute. What also happens is that air traffic control will pull the emergency alarm, which will make so that the fire and rescue part here, they will increase their readiness. So instead of being around their spaces, they will need to put on full gear, go down, start up all their fire trucks and so on and so forth, and even drive them towards their ready stations even closer to the runway just to save time. So there's a lot of things going on after this has happened. Of course, it's going to have big implications for everyone else. Aircraft coming in to land, aircraft trying to start. So right now everyone is really focused on clearing the air, clearing the airfield, so that this aircraft has all the possibility it can to land. And you see they are not doing any directly turns or anything. They are trying to sort out. This is the most critical part of the entire flight for civilian air traffic. And right now there's a lot going on in the cockpit, to say the least. Speed it up a little bit. It's quite obvious that there's a fire there. It's good that the weather is nice, so they can fly visually here.
Tower Force 66 Charlie, do you wish us to vacate the runway?
All positions stand by.
So now the Air France aircraft here make the suggestion to ATC Air Traffic Control that they can vacate the runway. This is a good initiative, but right now nobody wants to talk anything on the radio that's unnecessary, because they want to keep the frequency entirely clear for the aircraft with emergency. And the air traffic controller will obviously want them to taxi away, but right now he is probably coordinating on a lot of different places right now, depending on this emergency. So, and he will just get that clearance to taxi away here in just 1 second.
Delta 60 Charlie, go to taxi via the runway, vacate via Charlie.
We vacate via Charlie, Alpha.
And it basically they're taxiing in away from the runway via one of the points at Charlie. And here's here the emergency aircraft landing. No more fire in the engine. They managed to put that out. A hard landing, but a good landing here, very, very secure. Here the fire trucks came, so they were standing by, not too close to the runway, because then they could, if the landing went wrong, they could possibly hit them. So they are standing by. You also have other places where different kinds of fire and rescue services have been standing by. You don't know whether or not it's a long runway, several kilometers or several miles in freedom units. And now the fire trucks and everything is driving forward, and these fire trucks have a massive tank of water and anti-flame anti-flame things, not just normal water, and they don't need to run out of the out of the trucks and take out hoses or anything. They have a hose on top of their truck, so they can shoot and get the temperatures down quickly. Here you see a large train here of medical fire services, and everyone is driving down here to make sure that they get to this aircraft as soon as possible, as soon as it stops. You see, even from the end of runway, you have fire trucks. So they have been positioned all across the field here. Fortunately, no fire right now in the airplane, which is good, of course.
Delta 79, we have come to a complete stop. Engines are at idle. Parking brake is not set.
So now the aircraft has said that they have come to a complete stop. Basically, it's safe for the fire trucks to come forward. It's safe for emergency rescue to start opening up the aircraft, of course, with the help of the flight attendants and the crew in the aircraft. The engines are at idle, so they're still running, the engines, but they are at idle. Also, if the engines were not at idle, it could be dangerous for the firemen to get close, be sucked into the engine and so on. And the parking brake is not set, and that's also information so that the firemen know that the aircraft could potentially still become rolling in that sense.
Delta 79, request from firefighters, please shut down the engine.
Stand by, Delta 79.
Yeah, and they want, of course, the engines to be shut off entirely to decrease the risk of a continuous fire or something like that, of course. So that is obviously one that went very, very well. I think it was very well handled by everyone here, and everyone kept calm and did their job exactly as you want them to. And I just want to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to all the fire rescue men and women out there. And a certain shout out to all the Swedish military fire and rescue personnel. We have even lower timings when it comes to getting rescue on military bases in Sweden than we have on civilian bases. And these men and women, I have no doubt during my career that these men and women would risk their life for us, just rushing towards us if there was a fire, potentially bombs, whatever. They would just rush towards that place with no regard for their own safety to try to help us in case of any emergency. So a big shout out to all the fire rescue personnel in the Swedish Air Force and abroad internationally, of course. But I will end it there. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Do me a solid, give me a like on the video, share it to someone who might enjoy it. subscribe to my channel. If you want to support me, you can also buy me a coffee on Ko-Fi here in the description below. And also give me a comment what you want me to react to next. And until next time, as always, fly safe.